Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really cool study from Meta. They figured out how to teach an AI to write better ads, not just by copying what humans do, but by learning directly from what actually works, from real-world results. Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll talk about the big challenge of getting these huge AI models to do one specific job really well. Then we'll get into Meta's new solution, look at the giant experiment they ran to test it, see the pretty amazing results, and then we'll wrap up by talking about why this is such a big deal for AI in the business world. So the first thing we got to get our heads around is how these large language models, these LLMs, actually learn. They're trained on like a huge chunk of the internet, so they get really good at general language. But to make one an expert at something specific, say writing ad copy that sells, it needs an extra step, what they call a post-training phase.
And this post-training part, it's everything. It's like taking someone who's a brilliant generalist and sending them to a specialized school. They already know the basics, but this is where they learn the specific skills to perform a really precise, high-stakes task that actually produces a valuable result for a business.
Now, there are basically two main ways people have been doing this. The old school way is supervised fine-tuning, or SFT. That's kind of like giving the AI a cookbook full of great recipes and saying, here, learn to cook like this. But the newer, more powerful way is reinforcement learning, or RL. And with RL, it's like the AI actually tastes the food, sees if people like it, and then adjusts the recipe based on that feedback. It learns from the actual results. And that brings us right to the heart of what Meta did here. They came up with a special flavor of this, which they call reinforcement learning with performance feedback, or just RLPF. It's a pretty slick two-step process. First, they build a model that acts like a judge. Its only job is to get really, really good at spotting what successful ad text looks like. Then, in the second step, that judge is used to train the main LLM, which is like the student, constantly trying to write copy that the judge will give a high score to. So that first step is where the magic really starts. This reward model just chews through millions of real historical ads where everything was the same, the picture, the audience, all of it. The only thing that changed was the text. By looking at which one got more clicks, it learns to predict what kind of writing leads to a better click-through rate. Then you get to step 2. The new model, which they cleverly named AdLlama, basically starts playing a game against the reward model. It writes some ad text, the reward model gives it a score, and AdLlama tweaks its approach and tries again and again and again, always trying to get a better score. So the theory sounds great, right? But the real question is, does it actually work out in the wild? To find out, Meta designed a huge real-world A/B test to put AdLlama through its paces. They split advertisers into two big groups. The control group got ad suggestions from a model trained the old way, by imitation. The test group, though, they got suggestions from the new AdLlama. And what's really important here is that both models started with the exact same foundation, the Llama 2 Chat 7B model. That makes it a really fair fight. And listen, this wasn't some tiny little lab experiment. We are talking about almost 35,000 real advertisers using the platform. The researchers actually say this is the biggest study of its kind ever done, testing this kind of AI in a live, real-world environment. And they didn't just run it for a weekend. The experiment ran for 10 solid weeks, all the way from February to late April of 2024. That means they collected a ton of data on how these two AIs performed under pressure. So after 10 weeks, with nearly 35,000 advertisers involved, it's the moment of truth. What did the numbers actually say? So, did all this fancy training actually work? Oh yeah, it worked. The advertisers using AdLlama suggestions saw their click-through rates go up by a whopping 6.7%. Now, 6.7% might not sound like a crazy number, but trust me, in the world of digital ads where everything is already super optimized, a lift that big is a massive, massive win. But here's where it gets even more interesting. It wasn't just about the clicks. The advertisers who used AdLlama also ended up creating 18.5% more ad variations. So something else was going on here. And this is a huge insight. It suggests that people didn't just get better results, they actually liked the AI suggestions more. They trusted AdLlama enough to use its ideas more often in their own creative work. The quality was just better. So, What's the big picture here? Why are we talking about this? Well, this is way bigger than just a story about making better ads. What Meta has really given us here is a roadmap, a blueprint for aligning an AI with pretty much any goal you can measure. This RLPF method could be used anywhere. Imagine training an AI to write emails that get higher open rates, or product descriptions that lead to more sales, or even support shots that resolve issues faster. This is how you bridge the gap between a generally capable AI and real dollars and cents business value.
And hey, if you want to keep up with more of this kind of fascinating cutting-edge research, you should definitely check out the great work they're curating over at neuralant.org.
So that leaves us with one final, really powerful question to think about. We've seen this work for ad clicks, but what else? What other real-world outcomes in science, in medicine, in education, what could we achieve if we start teaching AI not just to copy what we think is good, but to learn directly from the data on what actually truly works? Thanks for watching.